bring everybody up to speed, that this, we're starting with where you all left off at your last meeting.
Right.
And so now you have had some more time to think and come back with some other ideas.
You just want
wanna
that part, not this
clarify
part.
where we are.
No,
Okay.
it's just that little strip through there.
Okay.
Back, and that changed it from 1.7 to 1.9, so we're still within the percentage.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
So that was the only one I had changed on what I.
You can probably see that, I can't.
Can you make those statistics a little bit bigger?
No, unfortunately.
Okay, so minus 10, minus 2, 48 goes to 60.
Mm-hmm.
All right, 48 goes to 60, 20 goes to
8.
8, and 56 stays minus. Okay. All right.
And that does keep us well within the percentages. Yeah, just one.
Okay.
All right, now if you could go to Indian Valley District, to the addition we made, including the Talford Road section. Right there. Yeah,
Right in here?
right there. Mhm. If we could put that back to the old line,
So this will go back over to these guys.
back up as it was.
Just,
Yeah. Should be from,
You did it.
Just that one block and then go further. Go down here, just that one.
What's the,
it's firehouses and the.
Yeah, we're running along Firehouse Road.
is that back where it was?
No,
No, back where,
the whole thing.
the whole thing back
All the way
there.
down.
Yeah.
Okay.
See what that does to the numbers.
Put you over. So we need to,
Yes, that's all.
okay. So what about that majestic thing? You want to check, see how many
I
numbers?
think that, if I remember right, after we talked about that, I think that block included so many.
Yeah, this one right here.
It had too much volume.
See, that one big block has 157 people, which would bring you back still negative 40. So that takes you all the way down to Lower Branch.
Yeah, that's what I didn't like about it.
Yeah, well, what about if isn't there a way to come down Ferny Creek, Wade Road, up to Majestic Lane, and connect to Fane Mountain? Is that doable for them?
It's gonna be pretty sizable too, I don't think.
I don't know that.
Right in here, right?
People.
Right.
Yeah, that helps quite a bit. Negative 59, so that's pretty good.
What do you think?
That's probably yours, if you need to change.
I mean, I'm just looking for the numbers to
Each
try to
road,
equal.
33.
Wade.
Yeah, I think it goes up some kind of unnamed road through here.
Oh, yeah, that's an unnamed
I'm not
road.
sure.
That's a crazy road.
That's a creek or
It's different,
not a creek, so
again, that's the difference in travel to the,
I mean, there you kind of, that's far away from one as far as the other.
Just get the numbers.
Don't get the numbers squared.
Yeah. I like this better than that. Cause they're just so close to Willis Elementary. I mean,
Yeah, right there.
yeah.
yeah, I don't like it there.
That's part of what you can put back, right?
Yeah.
You can put that back in your,
Yep.
and they're talking about doing this over
This right
here
here, yeah.
to balance it out.
I got no problem with it because I say it's still about the same distance as far as voting.
So we're at minus 10, minus 2, 60, 11, and minus
59.
59. Ah, I guess it's really close to what we had. 59 minus 2, 60.
I remember, I think we talked about that an hour. We had that little piece sticking out there.
Yeah.
It's got 12 people in it. I want to get it back. Still be okay.
Yeah.
That's
Right there, 12 people in that, 64, 68 there.
whatever. It's probably just easy for them just to
Yeah.
run straight back out.
Run out ridge.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think it's okay. Whatever you think.
So what you think of it? Oh, leave it as it is?
As long as the shape don't get us until Mr. Derbyshire is looking.
As long as what?
The shape.
I think you're okay.
Okay.
And what was the other thing you asked us to consider?
You consider size, and you want them compact and contiguous, although that's one of the least controlling measures.
And then if we were, going back to your email. What else did you say today? You just,
Your email.
yesterday, excuse me, that was yesterday.
Yeah, I can look at it.
You want to be compact and contiguous, you want to be equal in population, or at least as equal as practicable.
All right,
You want to be aware of whether there are any, whether it would affect minority voting or language minority, ethnic or racial minorities or language minorities,
all right.
whether that would affect them in any way. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think that there are any sort of voting blocks where you've got that's really an issue one way or the other.
No.
People of a racial, ethnic, or language minority are in one district or another. I don't see it as,
Okay,
I can give you the racial breakdown once we get aside and show you the breakdown for each district.
that'd be useful. And if we're gonna go the route of submitting it to the Attorney General's office, that'd be information they would like to know, so that would be very helpful.
All back to me.
As far as what sort of breakdown of each district prior to and after the proposed, that would be that'd be very helpful.
Yeah, it has, it's a lot of breakdowns. I need to try to count how far I gotta go because it's got one race breakdown and then it goes to 2 race breakdowns and 3 race breakdowns all the way to, I don't know, 5 or 6, pretty deep. So, I mean, by then it may not be, I looked at numbers and nothing in the columns.
We're trying to work this out. That's going to be bad.
So every block I can tell you what the race count is, minorities.
What's he doing now?
he's doing, all right, we need to, I guess, get back.
We're back to the main.
He was just in census blocks.
And go back to the,
Oh, sorry, this is pre-processing files.
the little corner,
You're very
the
timely.
little corner there that we gave Indian Valley out of the courthouse. Right there, wait a minute.
No.
He'll show you, that little corner. We put that back in the courthouse, what does that do?
Probably bad.
Probably bad, he said.
Probably bad.
We'll see. Just the whole thing or just the
Yes.
3? Okay.
Let's start with the whole thing. Alright,
Yeah.
that puts me over 5.
And he's under 5.
-6 plus, yeah, that's presumptively invalid.
Yeah. You can't do that.
Well, I thought we could, and just,
Alright, let's go back to leave that there. Go back to the Montgomery County, towards the Montgomery County, well, right in there.
put that back.
Where do we put that back?
All of
All of that. Let's start with all of it and see what that does.
Right there, we'll go back, and it's there.
Go back to the white,
You go to Willow Grove first.
You had it close, I think, didn't you? What's that look like?
okay.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
looks good.
not taking any more hands.
Are you okay with
Yeah.
that switch?
I think,
As long as it-
I'm okay with that.
Let's leave that like this.
well, it's been like that for a number of years before we can fix it.
11.
Well, yeah, I mean, that would be the proper thing.
The closest bounce y'all had.
Yeah, I think that's,
Yeah.
I'm comfortable with
I
that.
can live with that.
How did I gain 44 again?
I don't know, but
No, now I'm down to -2. You gained 44.
I'm down from 60 to
Oh, I stayed the
44.
same, so that's good. All right, so the -10, -2, 44, 11. And then what is that, 43?
I never even thought about that.
Yes.
That's amazing. So it's -1.3?
1.38.
So minus 1.38, and then plus 1.41, so you get a pretty good spread there, because that's what would be looked at, is the difference between the highest and lowest.
And what is Joe's? 0.33?
We took it all the way down to T-Berry.
Yeah, there's not much on to there.
That's what I was saying.
Mhm.
Down there where that T-Berry is, go down, over to,
Right there.
or if you took it down to T-Berry, just that little,
Yeah, this to you.
yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see what that does.
Little tweaks.
Ah, I see.
No, the other way over there.
Yeah.
Now, you can't just go to T-Berry?
No, that's a block. I don't define the blocks, the Census Bureau does, so that's
I'm sorry, all right, put it back. Let's leave it, I'm gonna leave it alone, that's it.
Yeah, I think that's,
So Jerry is 1.41, O3, O3, it's like a eye test. 0353.
Yeah. I don't think we can get it any closer.
I think it's,
That looks pretty good, actually.
That's,
-10, -2.
and you're at minus point, you're at
-43.
0.6,
That's pretty darn close.
which your district's the one that had the most gain last time, so if it's, you know, you don't.
Oh, yeah, I want to stay
-2.
-2. I want to stay -2,
Yeah, you got more
absolutely.
wiggle room at that than you do.
And Lawrence could grow too,
mhm.
you know? Both of our districts are, actually, both of us talked about this. We were very surprised that Lawrence district had not grown
More than.
more than the Little River district, to be honest with you.
I was surprised.
Yeah, I was,
I feel like it will.
yeah, I think it will too. All right. Were we your easiest county, Brandon?
Pretty close. And the easiest one was Whit. They didn't have to change anything.
Oh,
They were balanced to begin with. So
well.
they don't count those. So would you like me to, before I leave, I can actually print out and do a copy of these.
Would you?
Yeah, that'd be
Yeah,
good.
Yeah.
I'd like to have a copy of this.
Yes, please.
Is there any way to make it any easier to determine the old line and the new line by changing colors or anything?
I see the map prints, I was printed. What do you mean there?
Just like, leave the old lines black and use any color that's not on here for the new lines.
New line is orange and old line black.
You're saying instead of seeing the color there, that you put the border there too?
Yeah, color and border would help. It would help.
Yeah.
I'll try,
Just something, just a note or whatever, we can write it something.
but it'll be around a little symbol.
That'd be great. That'd be great. All right, well,
Because every minute you think you gotta figure it out, you look at it.
Yeah, I know.
and then see, like I followed the red lines and I said, well, wait a minute, what's that going on? I said, that's a road.
Yes, I'm very happy. I think those numbers are pretty impressive. I mean, Jerry, look how close we got. I mean, -0, +1.
He needs to get this one.
I mean, I'm glad. I still like to look at TV.
I don't know.
31, get a bigger one.
I'm sorry.
I think Mr. Jerry's trying to figure out if we can go ahead and unplug it.
I'll go get this.
So, Mr. Chair, we've asked him to make some copies for you all and then also to have some available to post for the public.
Yes, yes.
I've got a question or two for Amy. Yes, I don't know how to bring this subject up because I really don't know what I'm asking for. Is there a good way to put it?
Sounds promising.
Get ready.
Me and Jerry in the past said that we can see having a couple more voting precincts or whatever. How do you go about that and when do we need to do it?
You have to exploit the precinct and the two voting locations.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
The time to do it, paperwork wise will be during this submission, will be my suggestion. But, you have to evaluate new places for, handicap accessibility. I have a survey, and you have to meet certain requirements.
Well, I know church, I'm sorry, I know that churches, especially, they have a nonprofit. Are you allowed to use churches for this function without it affecting them and affecting their nonprofit status?
Yes, yeah, many churches are used as polling places in Virginia. Of course, the church has to agree.
Right.
And,
But I didn't want to approach one and have them say yes and then find out it put something in jeopardy for the church.
I don't,
I mean, the church, to me, we have plenty of them around. And I don't mean that ugly, it's just a fact. That most of those places have handicap accessibility and all that parking and that sort of stuff. I don't know how it, of course, y'all would have to, you and the electoral board, I guess, would have to evaluate the layout to see if it would meet what the criteria. But I would think that, Indian Valley is a big district. First floor, well, all of them are really, except for the courthouse. So, it might not be a bad idea to have an additional polling place in each of them.
What I was looking at was like, when you get out around Shearer Road and on the Parkway, that little corner up there, a lot of them people like myself, they're getting some age on, and they don't want to get out these cold ones and drive 50
we
miles.
hear a lot of that. Now, of course, for each polling place, you have to equip it with voting machines, poll workers, that, there will be that expense. I don't know, I've never heard anything about using your location to mess up your status as, you know, charitable status or anything like that. When we were looking for a polling place for Little River District, we talked to a couple of churches, and we did find one that I think met, and that was Little River, since we did their addition, but then they didn't want to do that. But, you know, every church will be.
That's fine. You mentioned the last time that there may be some concern with Little River voting at Floyd Eid. Is that still a possible problem, or?
As long as the polling place remains within 1 mile of the precinct boundary, it's fine according to code.
Okay.
And we did not move it.
Okay.
Right.
I just wanted to.
And last time, or when we moved it, I believe, you know, we could measure it as the crow flies. It didn't have to follow, you know, roads. But, so it is, yeah, it is.
To Joe's point, are you finding many of our elderly folks coming in on these nicer days to your office to cast their ballots?
Early voting has alleviated some of the you know, problems we've heard for some people as they're learning about it, and now that curbside voting's been around for many years, but last year really brought that to the attention of voters so they know about it. We have been doing many curbsides this election. Like one time today, we had 8 curbsides in the parking lot waiting. And
wow.
We've been so busy, so that's good. But you know, any change to polling places, precincts, this will be the time to really look at it, because we have to notice voters, and I believe I'm correct that the local redistricting has to be in place by the first of the year, and we could be looking at special elections, you know, state, we don't know what.
Because of the state's redistricting?
Yeah,
Okay.
we don't know what the state might do, but locally, no, we won't have us, you know, for local rates, but
I honestly believe though, if you had a satellite polling place, you know, like out around Green Mountain, and then if Justin had one, you'd see an increase in voter turnout.
you're probably right. You know, apparently many years ago, there was multiple polling sites in the county when I look at the old minute book. And people ask me, why can't I vote at, you know, this church or that church or different places? And
Well, the rules have gotten so much different now.
yes, but now with early voting, anyone can vote early without having a reason to be away from the locality. That is one thing.
Or again, the ones up around Green Mountain and
Yeah.
Parkway. They don't have time to drive down here after work to vote early. And, you know,
And you know,
most people at work has got Saturdays so booked up that they can't early vote.
early morning on election day, we hear people say they're afraid to drive because of deer.
Yeah.
And I totally get that, driving out to Indian Valley.
You're not anywhere.
Or, yeah, driving through town sometimes, yeah.
I don't know whether it's us or them, but if it's with y'all, would y'all be willing to look at some sites potentially? And
Yeah, we could take this survey and go around and with somebody,
I mean,
maybe yeah.
I mean, if it makes it easier for the people to vote, we'll figure out how to pay for the machines and the people.
That's what I do.
Well, you know,
It is our duty.
I would say if you found a place in Indian Valley or Green Mountain Area 1, there would be enough volunteers around there that would help you, you know, because it would help them out. I've got a couple places in mind. If you don't care, I may approach them and just fill them out on it. You know.
Since we've got voting at Floyd E for your district, you know, especially you get way down there next to Lawrence Corner, that's a pretty good distance too that they're having to travel.
It is. Yeah, I mean, It's a big county.
And I won't speak for Lauren, but I don't know whether you might have to get with him and see what he thinks of his district, but I would support y'all in putting another one in each of y'all's districts.
Yeah.
You take tickets down in Dogtown, and the next to right up.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah, down in Lake Ridge, it's long.
It's 35 minutes just to get there. It feels like it sometimes.
I mean, I just think if we could make it easier for people to vote.
Absolutely.
I believe we were ready to increase the voter turnout.
Would you like me to share like the ADA checklist? And
I'm sorry.
would you like me to share the ADA checklist and other, like other polling place requirements with you all so you can?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to have that information too. That would help us. And if, I know it's a busy time, and it's gonna be a busy
My
time.
mentor next week, but I'll look at
But if you and the electoral board could maybe start looking in that direction in each, I mean, that's just my opinion.
How are you feeling about people signing up to work our polls? Are you having trouble? Are you getting the numbers you need? Obviously, how do you feel as the registrar and noting trends? How do you feel? Do you think our county would support more polling places and that people would respond by wanting to work those polls? Because that's the other key too, correct?
Right. It is really blessed that we usually have more people that want to work than spots open up to work. That we're just very fortunate, in that regard. Where it might, sometimes it is a problem, or like a single party primary where interest isn't too, exciting, and it's in June when most people want to go on vacation instead of work election. Sometimes we do scramble a little bit in June, but we're also fortunate, even in a single party primary, we can call in other, parties, and then you say, sure, I just want to help. So we're very fortunate that our folks are just work because they think it's a, good civic duty and they enjoy it, yeah.
So if anybody's watching tonight and they've always wondered how to go about doing it, would they come to your office? For not obviously next Tuesday, but
in the future.
in the future.
Yes, we have a poll worker interest form they can fill out. They could go to a party chair. They could also, we can have a certain number of independent workers now as well. So, yes. And luckily, the past few years, we've seen an increase in younger poll workers. I've even had some high school students that served as a paid, kind of like a volunteer, and now they're working. So we have a few that are 19, 20 years old, like young, energetic.
That's great.
Kids, it's very good, yes.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
Have a couple kids coming back home from college to work the polls in Floyd.
On election day, because they have the day off.
Yeah, and they said they wouldn't miss it, so like.
Oh, that's great.
That is good, it's really good.
That's wonderful.
We need to encourage our younger citizens to get more involved in everything.
That's right,
Absolutely.
that's right.
Well, that's very good news. Thank you, Amy.
Yeah, so we'll work with you, and I know you always like to hear numbers. We've had 1,205 in-person voters.
Wow.
143 were today.
Wow.
We just finished pre-processing all the mail ballots. So we've had a busy day. And we vote Saturday till 5, so you come in.
Saturday is the last day to vote early, correct?
Saturday is the last day, 5 o'clock.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you for your service as well.
Yeah.
And coming by. It's been a long day.
Yeah. And I didn't maybe miss a little bit, but what's the next step as far as the ordinance? Have you gone that far yet? Public hearing, or is that?
Setting a public hearing, isn't it?
Yeah.
We need to discuss that.
Okay, I didn't know if I missed that.
It's a cute.
Yeah, that's a segue, Amy.
Just leave it right into you.
So,
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Amy.
Thank you.
as we've discussed a little bit before, under the Virginia Voting Rights Act, you have two tracks you can pursue. One is sort of the standard track where you publish notice at least 45 days prior to the close of a public comment period that you're accepting public comments on a proposed map. So now that you've established a proposed map, the clock would be ticking from today.
Okay.
Public comment period must be open for at least 30 days. And then if you were to make any changes after receiving public comment, then you'd have to re-advertise for another public comment and hold that open for at least another 15 days. And with the timelines and the census data being delayed, it makes it impossible to adopt it at your December meeting. It might be even impossible to adopt it even if you held a special meeting on New Year's Eve, or, yeah. You're pushing up against that timeline.
Okay.
Option B is to submit the materials, your proposed ordinance and supporting materials to the Attorney General's Office of Civil Rights and request a notice of no objection to the proposed redistricting.
Okay.
That's the other way that you can comply with it. Most localities that I'm aware of are following option B. And some are following option B with sort of a hybrid approach. They're submitting the request to the Attorney General's Office for approval, but they're still going through a process of public comment and advertisement, just on a more abbreviated time schedule. And that's kind of the way I think.
I wouldn't feel comfortable doing B without some kind of public input.
Yeah,
That's
I like the
right.
hybrid.
Sure.
Yeah.
So you'd have to advertise anyway for adoption of an ordinance, and I can prepare the ordinance now that we have the maps and I can get all that data, because it's a means and bounds description. So I can move forward with that. We would need to advertise for a public hearing for adoption of the ordinance. It would also be wise, I think, in keeping with the sort of hybrid process, to advertise as soon as possible that we're accepting public comments, that we're going to hold public comment period open for X number of days.
Yeah, definitely.
And I don't see a problem with holding it open for 30 days if we advertise pretty promptly, because if we're looking at adoption, public hearing and adoption at the December meeting, I think we can still do that.
The only problem with that is, we're only having one day meeting in December. Most of the people that may want to come in are gonna be working.
Well, you'd have a 30-day public comment period, so that could.
Well, I know that, but still,
They could,
a lot of people would rather come to a public hearing than speak than they had to.
We may have to have a special.
Well, that's what I was getting at. Can we do a special night meeting for the public hearing?
You can.
I mean, I know we was just doing one meeting, but I just don't feel right. I mean, if we do it during the day at our December meeting, that's gonna limit the people that can actually come to speak automatically.
December meeting, a night meeting? You wouldn't want to do that?
No, because we'd have to go through that whole process of changing everything and re-advertising, because we've already done all that.
Right.
You prepared the resolution, but it hasn't been put in the paper yet.
Well,
I would rather go with our day meeting like we have it scheduled, and if need be, then have a special call, for afternoon, evening, whatever.
And when would you do that?
could we do that?
Yeah, you can call a special meeting anytime.
Would we do it next week? Or
Certainly,
the
if
same
you
week?
want to decide on it tonight,
Right.
pick a date and have a called meeting.
I just think we should have it at the night instead of during the day. That's just.
And it's gonna affect the voters, so they need to have a say in it.
I would have that night meeting sooner rather than later.
Right.
So that same week, maybe?
maybe even the week before, maybe even the week before.
Yeah, definitely would, yeah.
And you could have it in November, you could have the public hearing while the public comment period's still open. So you could do it in November, or you could do it in 2 weeks, or what have you. You don't have to be limited to December, I guess is what I'm saying.
Gotcha.
I think just off the time frame, I think we'd probably be better to do it within probably the first week of December, personally speaking.
First week of December.
I think so.
Put it the night meeting, the first week of December, then have our regular day meeting on the 14th.
I think so.
So maybe do it the 7th? That would be the Tuesday.
Yeah, I think so.
But that's
Well,
I'm not trying to complicate things.
No, I mean, I agree with you.
I think it's better to do it where.
Yeah,
I think that just our advertisement should be clear that you can produce comments by other means.
right.
Yeah.
Telephone, letter, email.
Or this, before the board of supervisors at this such time.
Well, we could just set the public hearing for that on the 7th. We could do that now and wouldn't have to have a special call meeting.
Right.
No, we could just, because normally you have 2 meetings in December, we just get rid of one. We just move our night meeting up to the 7th.
Right. And our day meeting's
Does that
May 14th.
meet the time frames and everything that?
Well, there's not many times we do option B hybrid, right?
Yeah, the hybrid is just where
Okay.
the time frames are really what you all are deciding is fair and appropriate. And we submit that to the AG's office and say, this is how we're substantially complying with.
Right.
And that goes out like soon.
Yes, who's having the ordinance prepared?
Right.
We could just do a simple motion for the for the public hearing and set it for the 7th at 7 o'clock or whatever.
I think we have, Mr. Chair,
I was going to make a suggestion. Since you passed a resolution at that last meeting, but it has not been advertised yet, and it was to hold your regular meeting on December 14th and cancel the second night meeting, why don't you amend that resolution, and could you amend when it's been passed? And just amend it, so instead of doing it that way, say you're changing the evening meeting to the December 7th,
Right.
and you'll hold your regular day meeting at the same time.
Okay.
And I think that'd be clearer for the public instead of,
Less confusion.
Does
yeah.
that work for you?
Yes.
Just remember, we gotta do that before we leave.
Yep.
Well, you could vote on that now.
That's what they say.
If it's appropriate, I'll make that motion that we amend our previous resolution, we change our night meeting from the 28th to the 17th, to the 7th at 7 o'clock
Okay.
for the purpose of holding a public hearing that night.
And still have our normal meeting on the 14th.
Right.
I'll second.
You okay with that?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, sorry.
You made the motion, right, yeah.
Motion and second, we
okay, and so this is the motion, just make sure we get it right, that's your previous night meeting, to amend the previous resolution. The night meeting that would normally have been scheduled for December 28th be moved to December 7th at 7 p.m. for the purpose of a public hearing for redistricting.
Be held as soon, at 7 or as soon thereafter.
Okay, be held at 7 or soon thereafter.
Right.
And then also to clarify that you will continue with your regularly scheduled day meeting on the 14th of December. So those will be your 2 meetings in December. All right, now that that's clarified for everyone, Mr. Booth,
Yes.
Ms. Kukenba,
Yes.
Mr. Coleman,
Yes.
Mr. Yoder is absent, and Mr. Turman.
yes,
All right, so that has been, the resolution has been amended.
we'll just say some new
Yes, we do. Save some money on part of the advertising.
Part of the advertising. And then I would be looking for a motion now to prepare and advertise the redistricting ordinance with the boundaries that you have approved tonight. That's step one. to advertise an opening of a public comment period. Step 2, and direct the county attorney to submit the application for a certificate of no objection from the Attorney General's office.
Can we do that all in one?
Yes.
That's what move.
Second.
Keep the ball rolling while you can, that's what I say.
Motion and second, go ahead and call the roll.
And remind me, Mr. Booth was the, in there? All right, if we call the roll, Mr. Booth?
Yes.
Mr. Coleman?
Yes.
Ms. Cookenbook?
Yes.
Mr. Yoder is absent, and Mr. Terman.
Yes.
All right, that is approved.
And I think for those present, the reason everything is so screwed up is because the census people took so long. That we're not trying to hide anything or eliminate the public, we're just on a deadline. Everything has to be approved by January 1, right? Or December 31st.
Yes, yeah, there's an argument that it can extend, but you don't want to be the test case on that. And just for the benefit of the public, 10 years ago when we adopted this, it was done in May of 2011. That's how delayed we are from the Census Bureau, so.
This is all the same, Mr. Yoder didn't have any other changes, so I wasn't aware if he did.
He never reflected any to me. Do you, Linda?
No, not really. I mean, we bounced around Stonewall, but he said no, he was good with what we had.
All right.
Moving right along.
Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Chair, might I suggest we move back to old business and just start running through the rest of the items, if that's all right with you all?
Yes, ma'am, go ahead.
And so first would be 9A, Revenue and Expenditure Budget Supplement Request for FY22 for $9,250 for outdoor classroom project on behalf of the Virginia Department of Forestry grant. That is an action item. You'll see the associated letter in your packet. You will recall that was a grant, and then the match was in kind from both county but also a number of volunteers in the community. We have already had our first organizing meeting and had a broad array of folks from the library to extension to partnership for Floyd to the rec department, lots of folks. And we'll be following up with a second meeting, actually walking the trail on the 4th or 5th, weather dependent. So I wanted to give you an update on that. But as you see from the letter, we need to actually have that supplement approved.
I would move that we have that supplement approved for the outdoor classroom project in the amount of $9,250 and allow for all county employees to do any signatures that are needed.
Second.
Yes, second, go ahead.
Okay. Ms. Cookenbook?
Yes.
Mr. Coleman?
Yes.
Mr. Booth?
Yes.
Mr. Yoder is absent, and Mr. Turner.
Yes.
All right, thank you. I appreciate it. That was approved. I don't think so. Thank you.
I'm just gonna take my leave, please, John. Thank you.
Thank you.
Stay home, Steve.
Thank
Thank you.
Watch out for deer.
Absolutely.
you.
Bar.
And trees.
Yeah.
And trees, yeah, and trees. Ms. Sharon, item 9B, Sheriff Craig requests to fill the compensation board fund position approval. You recall that was discussed at the last meeting, and that is also an action item.
I would like to let the record reflect, if you could, please mirror my statement, able to participate in this conversation fairly and accurately due to the role through North Dakota, Virginia.
You can go ahead and underline for that one too, please.
Thank you.
We just need to approve what he's presented, right? I so move.
I'll second.
Okay. So, moving to approve Sheriff Craig's request, Mr. Booth.
Yes.
Ms. Cookenbook.
Yes.
Mr. Coleman.
Yes.
Mr. Yoder is absent, and Mr. Turner.
Yes.
All right, 9B is approved. Moving on, 9C. Request from the New River Health District to carry over $2,370.18 into the FY22 budget. You will recall we have discussed this at several previous meetings. And so you have some additional information in your packet. And as you recall, that number has moved down as you requested, and that is an action item.
Mr. Chairman, you will also make a motion for the carryover requesting $2,370.18 to the New River Health District.
Second.
Motion second, read.
All right. And so on 9C, the request for the health district to carry over $2,370.18 into the FY22 budget. Mr. Coleman?
Yes.
Mr. Booth?
Yes.
Ms. Cookenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Yoder is absent, and Mr. Terman.
Yes.
All right, thank you for that. To new business. Where would you like to go, Ms. Chair?
We got more discussion.
Okay. Let's see, I think, did you want to skip down? We already did
B.
B. We can go to C if you'd like.
Well, I can go ahead on that, 10A.
Yes, sir.
We're not going to make the appointments to the Floyd Selective Service tonight because we had a third applicant that, because of reasons beyond his control, that he couldn't make it tonight. So we would do that on our day meeting.
Thank you, Mr.
I'm
Chair.
sorry if you wait around for that.
Oh, no.
Okay.
He's just enjoying the show.
Oh, sure.
All right, then, Mr. Chair, moving to 10C, budget transfer of $489,000 from the meals tax fund to capital reserve fund as recommended by Davenport and Company. You will recall that was part of your discussion related to the bond package and all of that.
And this was nothing new, this is something that we were already aware of. Presentation.
It's not listed, but
Oh, it is an action item.
yes. And so we have a typo there. This is an action item request.
I'll so move.
I'll second.
Motion is second. No other discussion on it?
Okay. So for the budget transfer of $489,000 from the meals tax fund to capital reserve fund, Mr. Booth?
Yes.
Ms. Cookenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Coleman?
Yes.
Mr. Yoder is absent, and Mr. Terman.
Yes.
Thank you, that is approved, 10C. I have a couple of quick other items here. One wanted to, we're down to, I guess, my report, and a couple other items related to that. So, first of all, I wanted to let you know I did submit your credentials today for the VACO conference for Mr. Booth to be the voting member. So I want to make sure you are aware we submitted that. Wanted to remind you, given the late hour, I would suggest we put this on your agenda for the next day meeting, but it would be my suggestion that you all make consideration about where you want to spend the remaining tranche of your ARPA money, because some of those folks are they kind of need to know one way or another, whatever your choice is. But again, given it's 10:20, it's probably not something you want to engage in at this point.
And probably more appropriate to have the full board for the discussion as well.
That's a very good point. The two other items I had, unless Cindy or Kim has something else, and I regret I failed to put this on the agenda, so if we need to, if you're not comfortable voting tonight, we can take it up the next meeting, but wanted to make sure you had it. As you know, the Virginia Department of Labor and Industry put out new requirements related to infectious disease, COVID-19 preparedness and response plans. You had one that was approved some time ago, and that did conform to all the requirements at the time. However, those requirements have now been changed by the state. And so I've drafted a new version. I will thank Chad at Social Services for getting us candidly 90% of the way there. There's some things we had to do a little differently because we have many more employees. But I will hand these out to you all and can highlight what some of the differences are. And again, if you want to vote on it later, it's supposed to be effective already. But again, wanted to walk you through just a couple of changes. And this is the new So I'll quickly go through what some of the primary changes are. As you recall, the previous document spent a lot of time going through categorizing employees by their level of risk based on their job. That is no longer a requirement, nor is it expected, so all of that has been removed. The language is, thanks to Chad, I think a little bit easier to swallow, so to speak. But wanted to make sure that you were aware of that. Some of the other changes have been specific language around agency worksite and fleet vehicle sanitation and disinfection. So that's a big change. Availability of sanitation and disinfection products was there before, but it just continues to reinstate that. There are some definitions of fully vaccinated and methods used to determine vaccination status. Of course, your previous one was written before there were any vaccines, so that is new. And I would point out that the language says that we will rely solely on the employee's representation of being fully vaccinated or not, as defined above, without requiring proof of vaccination. That is what is required by law. Then the definition of close contact, again, that's changed just a little bit. And so that also refers to the flow chart, so I'll go back to that. Self-monitoring continues to be, of course, a big issue. Definitions of all the different facial equipment. And it does say, because this is a requirement, any Floyd County Administration employee who is not fully vaccinated must wear a face mask or covering at all times while working on the work side. Any employee who is fully vaccinated does not have to unless we are in an area of substantial or high community transmission as defined by the state. And again, that is all the state requirements. So it's straight to that. Actions on what happens, about absence from work, all those kind of things are very similar. And the other update is the chart of essentially what the procedures are supposed to be if you've had close contact. And again, this is for employees only. If we had close contact with someone who was suspected or confirmed COVID, then there's a list for fully vaccinated as opposed to unvaccinated and what the requirements are there. And that is provided by the state public health officials and was updated September 22nd. So this is the newest you have. We are addressing this because it is a requirement of the state. Again, it was really supposed to be done by the 8th of October. So apologies, but they took over a year to put out their rules and then gave us less than a month to get them all taken care of. So that's going to be my plea about this. But in any case, wanted you to be aware of this. Candidly, this is generally where we've been going in the office anyway in terms of process. There are some exceptions to this that are not noted but are part of the state requirements for folks that are on a particular level of essential employees. So the folks that some of the folks at solid waste, for example, fall into that, as do some other departments. And we clarified that all with the Department of Public Health. This particular document has been approved by Ashley Briggs, who's part of the regional effort for the Public Health Department. So she's been really, really helpful with this and many of our other challenges. So appreciate that and just wanted to make sure you had it. If you'd like to discuss at the day meeting, we can do that, but I wanted to make sure we had it out.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you don't mind, I'd like a little more time to review
Can
it.
I just ask
Is there anything appreciably different between what you handed out and what is stapled?
Oh, no, they're the same.
Okay, yeah, I'm looking.
Yeah.
Okay,
No,
good.
they're exactly the same. I just wanted to make sure there
Okay.
were enough copies in case
Gotcha.
any of the other folks wanted those.
All right.
So,
Day meeting.
yes, that would be great. And we'll kind of start moving in this direction, recognizing that you all might have slightly different thoughts. I appreciate that. I will say as a side note, despite some of our recent challenges, both in the treasurer's office and solid waste in some places, generally in the region, the numbers are starting to go down pretty appreciably. So that's okay. And then I have a couple of final things if you're ready for that. So, and I should have spoken to this chair a little bit more before we got to this. So, all of you probably know that this evening is Ms. Cindy Ryan's final meeting with us in her current role with the Board of Supervisors and with the county. Cindy is retiring at the end of the week. She's trying to not be too visibly excited about it. But Cindy, I will say personally, it has been an honor and such a pleasure to get to know you in this last 7.5 months. I will say probably the primary reason the ship didn't run aground is for all your able assistance, and really you're an excellent teacher. And so thank you. I appreciate all of your support and your understanding. So that's been really kind. And I will miss you a great deal. I love having all you folks, but I'll miss you too. And so with that, Sure, I don't know, this is kind of, if you'd like me to read it for you, if you'd like to read it. We did, I know you don't love these, but we had to do a resolution anyway.
I can read it.
It's kind of a funky cursive, so.
Yeah, there's some funny ink, yeah, so. This is a resolution honoring Cindy Ryan, retired assistant county administrator, or manager, I'm sorry. Whereas Cindy Ryan began her career with Floyd County Administration in August the 17th, 2015, and will retire that role on October the 31st, 2021. And whereas Ms. Ryan has served the county faithfully and with exceptional and commitment to the idea of public service, working both with county administrator and the school board system. And whereas Ms. Ryan has extremely positive impact on the well-being, both physically and financially of the county. That can't be overstated there. And whereas the Floyd County Board of Supervisors wishes to recognize Ms. Ryan for her dedication and excellent service to the citizens of Floyd County. Now therefore be it resolved that the Floyd County Board of Supervisors hereby honor Ms. Ryan, Ms. Cindy Ryan, for her work for our community and wishes her health and happiness in her retirement.
We're missing Mr. Yoder's signature, but we will take care of that.
I would like to say though that for myself, Kim will be getting ready because Cindy was always there. If I sent her an email, in just a few minutes I got them back. And any question I asked her, I don't know how she retained all that. I really don't. Her head's too small for all that. But she's been a pleasure to work with, and I can remember way back when, once upon a time when I was in real estate, we used to talk out at the office. her and her husband had a little shop next door. And,
Joe was one of the first people I met when I moved to Floyd.
And you stayed anyway.
Absolutely. But you know, the funny thing was that I guess age changes everybody, not that I'm saying you're older or anything like that. When you first come to work here, I thought, I know her from somewhere. But anyway, like I say, you're really going to be missed. And I say that from the bottom of my heart. And I wish you all the best. I guarantee they didn't have the vehicle gassed up and the suitcases packed. So, if anyone else has anything you want to say. So.
I just say you've been a pleasure to work with, and I echo everything Joe said, and just thank you for putting up with me bothering you throughout the day. And Kim's already got a little bit of that, so she knows what she's getting into. I'm like Joe, I don't know how you did what you did. I really don't, but I'm grateful, and I'm sure people of this community are grateful.
Thank you.
Absolutely. What little that I'm saying in the past few years, 4 years, and as an employee for the past several years since you've been here, your devotion and commitment is immeasurable in what you've done for this community. One thing I've appreciated so much as a new member on this board is showing your genuine care and your ability to articulate that to us for the county's best interest. It has been such a guiding light for somebody with the experience as myself. And for that, I'm grateful and appreciative of your service.
Thank you.
Cindy, you're, all those words and more. You are a dedicated public servant through and through. You have been able to balance working in various positions within the county, and you have done it with poise and grace, and have been able to sail through some pretty difficult times. And the dedication, the hours, the way you unceremoniously and without wanting any kind of recognition worked to better this community and this county for all of its citizens is probably one of your best legacies. I know that retirement is going to be wonderful for you both. I echo Joe that suitcases are probably packed and the car's gassed up, but we will miss you. I know that Kim will work hard to follow your example. I know that the training that has been going on the last 3 weeks has been pretty intense, and I know I will miss you greatly. And I want to thank you for everything, all of the courtesies, all of the guidance, and all of the care you have shown me personally as well as this county. I thank you very much, and onward and upward.
I remember a certain feller that used to come here and give us presentations or whatever, and I always get tickled at Cindy because he wasn't being completely kosher with us. You see a kid come up and look around. And I thought, okay, that's something we need to question. So, I used to watch her and Terry because if I was getting a little bit too far over, Terry would give me a look. And I know that then we'd start backing up a little bit.
That mama look.
Yeah,
That mama look, yeah.
And, but I would appreciate it, I really do. And, I say, Kim, she gotta be a quick learner. That's all I have.
And of course, the filers are from the board and the opinion, because you have them. And the board's also agreed to
another gift, and we will figure out how to get it to your house, which is your desk, isn't it? And your file cabinet. You want it?
Absolutely.
You don't think that's kind of crazy, but they're beautiful, and it's because she redid them.
They're gonna give me my desk and file cabinet.
That she does, that she does well. I think we need to complete the story.
Yeah.
She dug it out of storage
That's right.
and refinished all of it herself.
Yep.
That's right.
The file cabinet came from solid waste.
So that's another reason we are gonna miss her, because, you know, she's as conservative as you can get. Yeah, and we really appreciate that.
Yes.
Wow. I don't know where I'm gonna put it, but I accept it.
You'll figure out something.
Yes. Wow.
Got that surprise?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She didn't know I was coming.
I love it. I love it.
Fantastic.
Wow.
Yep.
That was an expression
she's the
even
only one
mass
that
couldn't contain.
Yeah, seriously.
I think she's the only one that can open that file cabinet.
That's excellent.
As the older man used to live in my neighborhood, always said she didn't, or you didn't know the Constellation could. He never could say combination.
Sure, you're right.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I was getting ready to put her on hot seat.
Oh, geez.
And see, now she can just say whatever she wants to.
She ain't got that
Do you want me to
desk
shut
yet.
this off?
Oh, that's right. She ain't got the desk
I
yet.
didn't even notice you told me I can say something after you give me the desk and.
Right.
I take it away. No, it's been a pleasure working for the county. I have, there have been parts of it that have just been very, very gratifying, and you really feel like you're making a difference. And a lot of it has been, I'll be honest, it has been exhausting. Ever since COVID hit and then immediately followed by the ransomware attack, it has just been nonstop, and I have just, you know, they say burned out. It's not burned out, it's drained out. I'm just tired. But I am looking back on a lot of good memories and a lot of good things we've accomplished together, and I'm very proud of having worked for the county, and I wish you all the best.
After you stay on a job so long, you will miss it, I guarantee you. And it may take you a little while, but
Well, I miss the people immediately.
yeah.
It might take a while to miss the work. But I will miss the people very much.
Yeah.
You know, I'd say, you know, we really hate to see you go. You're the most energetic one person I've seen. You don't walk nowhere, you can run. Like I said, you need a pair of roller skates. You want to get anything else?
I do. I don't have one more, I got two.
Uh-oh.
Several months ago, I was supposed to have brought this up and it slipped my mind. As a couple of citizens request for the recreation director to look into something called pickleball.
Yeah, pickleball.
I have no idea what it is. I can't tell you anything more about it other than it's done on tennis courts. Which I remembered to ask Dr. Wheeler about lighting tennis courts, but I forgot to bring up the other part of it. If we could have, you know, I don't know if what his situation is, but it seems to be catching on, and if it's something else we can do for our citizens, maybe look into it. The other thing, at the last meeting, I asked the sheriff to give us if he could give us a layout on what we need to do with sheriff's salary as far as the deputy salaries and stuff. And he did that, and I would ask the board to really study that and maybe I'm guessing for, if we institute anything, it would need to be done at our November meeting to give staff time to sort things out. Or could we do it at our December meeting? On the sheriff's salaries.
He was wanting this to go into effect for January.
Right. So we would need to do it
I would say probably the December.
December meeting,
Yeah.
okay. All right, if we could just consider that, because,
Yes,
and
sir.
I appreciate him putting that together. Because I think, whatever we choose to do, if we can in this budget, will save taxpayers down the road over the next 2 years. And I know when we get into it, y'all gotta make your declaration, but.
Things get bad when it comes to, law enforcement, the way things go.
Yep.
In the way they're treated and not just their salaries.
There was something got me thinking today that, you want to check on if you don't mind. Took my big truck to get, oil changed and, fuel filters and when I went to get the filters miles, I couldn't get them. And the company that supplies them had 1,000 on back order. So that's how short all this stuff's getting. And I think it'd be good if the county would look at essential things that we may need that will come up short. Not just frivolous stuff, but, stuff that would actually impact us. And, maybe if you can find some of it, I don't believe in hoarding, but I think this would be one time that in the long run, it may save us some money.
Stockpiling.
If we would hoard a little bit.
Thank you. Yeah, well,
Just something I was thinking about this evening.
Yeah.
Cause I don't know what I'm gonna do, if I don't get, I don't wanna run the truck too far without, getting oil change the fuel filter. But it is what it
You have
is.
to figure out how to clean that filter out and put it back on.
Yeah, Ray may not appreciate me in the kitchen sink truck.
You don't think she'd like that? Use her vegetable strainer to catch everything.
She don't like it when I do working cattle come in, I don't imagine what it is. Alright, anything else? Any motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion.
If I might, I wanted to note that we're gonna close the office for a couple hours on Friday, so we can play a little bit with Cindy on her last day. But you can show up. The door is locked, it's nothing personal.
We may agree to that.
Or you're invited to come.
Okay.
But I've asked everybody to come up with a 5-minute game or activity.
5 minutes.
5 to 10.
Okay.
And every staff member, instead of having a food reception type thing with
Right.
COVID, we're just gonna
Have some fun.
have some fun.
5 minutes jogging, please.
There you go. Jump yourself.
Is that fun?
Maybe I can't come up with games, so the only thing.
I'll move that we adjourn to our November 9th meeting.
Right.
Is it tonight? It's the 9th.
Yep.
Yep, our
So
November 9th
Tuesday is
meeting.
the 9th.
It is the 9th.
I won't be here that day. That's my birthday. I'm working my birthday as a holiday.
Well, this is not work. This is not work. This is just a hobby.